Thank you, General. Again, gentlemen, thank you. Excellent opening statements. In your opening statements, you did very briefly go through these skill sets that are particularly unique to your own components. If you could just, and each of you just briefly answer, within those skills, those operators, the equipment that you have, what gaps do you see, whether it's within your own component or even between the components that exist within SOCOM? General Webb, if we could start with you, please.
Madam Chairwoman, we contend at Air Force Special Operations Command that our nation needs us to be a full spectrum force with a focus on the low and high end. And as I said in my opening statement, we want to continue to hone to a fine razor's edge those low-end capabilities that we've done over the last decade plus. But on the high end, it's both conceptual and technology-wise that we need to look what can we do with major weapon systems that we already have today in new and unique ways, and also looking out to that next horizon. What are those technologies, such as specialized mobility for long range, long distance, in contested environments that could still land vertically, that I think we want to continue to pursue, as well as ensuring that the equipment on board our current systems measure up to the threat that is potentially out there. Okay. Those are the major pieces.
Very good. Thank you. General Tovo.
Senator, just a couple things. First, I wouldn't identify them necessarily as a gap, but a big part of our challenge has been time to train. And so part of our ability to regain balance in the force and both preserve our forces from an op-tempo overuse has been to put more time on the training schedule so that we can address that expanded set of skills we need to train against. So that's already ongoing. We are always in a continual struggle, much like Brad's force, to make sure that our air systems are able to penetrate the variety of threats that our adversaries are fielding to deny us access. And so that is a constant challenge. It's not a new challenge, but it is one that we're always working to address. Senator Heinrich talked about the information domain and our tools to compete with our adversaries in that domain, and that is something that we're looking at very closely on how do we get beyond loudspeakers and leaflets and really get our PSYOP capability to be able to wield operational and strategic level tools. A big part of that, though, is not about tools so much as it is about the authorities and permissions to use them, and how we as the U.S. government decide to divvy up the information domain in this competitive space, and what agency and executive branch owns what responsibilities. So it's just a couple of the highlights. We can certainly go further if you'd like.
Thank you. And we'll go on to the Admiral. Thank you.
Chairman, I wouldn't express them as gaps either, but I think I got three that I'd like to kind of highlight. And the first, I'll start with people. I think in the people's space, this is in places like Iraq and Syria, we're using the virtual advise and assist kit. And I really believe that SOF can be on the vanguard, particularly on the near-peer competition below the threshold of human-machine teaming. And I think that that's a growth area for SOF in this space. Second is really returning to the unique special maritime capabilities that Naval Special Warfare possesses, but in concert or in interoperability with the Navy. I think as we look at near-peer access into A2 or anti-access denied areas, we have something to offer there, but we've got to my capabilities have got to be compatible with the Navy's platforms, its ships, its submarines, and so we're making a huge effort to close, if there is a gap there, but ensure that we're completely compatible. And then third, coming back to the people, one area that's very of particular interest to me is neurocognitive health and the long-term sustainment of our individuals, both for the low-end fight and the high-end fight. We're learning some things about the brain that we haven't learned before, and exposure to blast trauma and low-level blast exposure. I'm looking to really kind of close that gap and drive the science.
Thank you, Admiral. I appreciate that. And visiting your mine, Jim, that was very important to me. And I'll come back here in a little bit and we'll talk a little bit more about some of those efforts as well. Thank you. General Mundy?
Senator Ernst, just briefly, in addition to time to train, our number one priority is gaining the personnel that allows MARSOC to build out to the original number that it was supposed to be. And so we're shy of some critical enablers that would help us buy down the individual readiness numbers that I articulated in my opening statement that would allow us to be able to focus on preparing the force to meet the emerging threats. So our number one priority is people gaining, I think the number is 368 right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. And next we'll move to Senator Heinrich for his questions. And then we have been joined by Senator Dan Sullivan as well. Not a regular member of our committee, but certainly Senator Sullivan, after Senator Heinrich is done, if you would like to ask questions, feel free to do so. Thank you.